Hello and welcome to another episode of Maths with Mrs. Banks, where we make maths fun and easy to learn. And in this video, we're going to look at the measurement, the basics of conversions from mathematical literacy, grade 10, 11, and 12. On that note, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with all your friends on all social media platforms, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on new videos we upload in the future. Also, if you have a question or would like to make a video request, please comment down below with the topic and grade you'd like me to cover, or alternatively send all that information on the contact details provided in the description box. Now back to the video. In detail, we're going to look at how you convert from one unit of measurement to another when it comes to number one, length or distance, number two, area, and number three, volume. Let's start. Starting with the first one, length or distance. This is what we call a one-dimensional measurement because you're dealing with only one measurement, and that is the length of a subject or an object from one point to the other. It could be a distance on a road that is traveled. It could be the height of a building. It could be the depth of a swimming pool or the height of a person. Whatever it is one-dimensional because you're only measuring one thing. Now, to convert from centimeters to millimeters, you multiply by 10 because there are 10 millimeters in a centimeter. We're going to focus on just millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers, by the way, because these are the ones we use the most, the units of measurement we use the most. Of course, there is more than just millimeters. There are measurements that are smaller than millimeters, and there are measurements that are bigger than kilometers, for example, tons. But we're going to stick to this for the purpose of illustration in this video. Just wanted to clarify that. Now, also, 1 meter has 100 centimeters. So to convert from meters to centimeters, you multiply by 100. Also, there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So therefore, to convert from kilometers to meters, you must multiply by 1,000. In general, when you're converting from a bigger unit of measurement to a smaller unit of measurement, you multiply. But when you do the opposite, you're going from a smaller unit of measurement to a bigger unit of measurement, you divide, and we're going to look at how you do that in a moment. Now back to the multiplication, converting from bigger units of measurement to smaller units of measurement. If you, for example, were to convert from kilometers to centimeters, for example, you would multiply that number of kilometers by 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros in total. So you would multiply that number of kilometers by 10,000. And if you were to convert from kilometers to millimeters, you will multiply that kilometer or that number of in kilometers by 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. And that is a million. So you would multiply by a million if you want to convert from kilometers to millimeters. Now let's go to when you're converting from a smaller unit of measurement to a bigger one. Notice that the factor that you use to divide is the same factor that you use to multiply. For example, if you want to convert from millimeters to centimeters, you divide by the same factor of 10 that you multiply by when you're converting from centimeters to millimeters. Also, if you were to convert from millimeters to kilometers, you will divide that number of millimeters you have by 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. That is basically how you convert from one unit of measurement to the other in a one-dimensional measurement of either a length or a distance. Now let's look at what happens when you're dealing with areas. Area is a two-dimensional measurement because you are measuring two different types of length. The first length is what we call a length, and the second one is called a breadth. For example, in this rectangle over here. Now, when you're dealing with areas, you're now dealing with square units. Whatever it was that you dealt with in one-dimensional measurements for area or for length and distance, that means you would now deal with in square units of measurement. For example, instead of millimeters, you will now work with square millimeters. Instead of centimeters, you now work with square centimeters. Instead of meters, you work with square meters. And instead of kilometers, you work with square kilometers. Now, when it comes to converting from one unit of measurement to the other, you are now dealing with double the number of zeros you dealt with when you was converting on a one-dimensional plane. 2 dimensions, double the number of zeros. So instead of multiplying by 10 when converting from square centimeters to square millimeters, you multiply by 100, which is 1 and 2 zeros. Same with when you're converting from square meters to square centimeters, you now not just multiply by 100, 1 and 2 zeros, but you multiply by 1 and double the number of zeros, which is 2, which is a total of 4 zeros. I mean, same with kilometers. If you converting from square kilometers to square meters, you no longer multiply by just 1,000, but you multiply by 1 and double the number of zeros. So it will be a total of 6 zeros instead of just 3 zeros. So you double the number of zeros that you work with. 2 dimensions, double the number of zeros. So to convert from square kilometers all the way to square millimeters, for example, you will multiply by 1 and 3, 6, 8, 10, 12 zeros. So you would multiply by 1 and a total of 12 zeros to convert from square kilometers to square millimeters. Remember, when you converting from a smaller unit of measurement to a bigger one, you divide. So in order to convert from square millimeters all the way to square kilometers, you would divide by 1 and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 zeros. You will divide by a total of 1 and 12 zeros. Now let's look at what happens when you convert from volume. Volume is a three-dimensional measurement, so you're dealing with three types of measurements at the same time. It will be the length, the breadth, and the height. That makes up the whole volume. Now it's three-dimensional, so you're now dealing with 3 times the number of zeros. You are tripling the number of zeros you work with. So instead of, for example, converting from cubic centimeters to cubic millimeters, you will now, instead of multiplying by 10 like you would in a one-dimensional measurement scenario, or multiplying by 100, which is 2 zeros, and what you do when you're dealing in 2 dimensions, you now multiply by 1 and 3 zeros, which then matches with the 3 dimensions, so it's triple the number of zeros. Also note that now we're dealing with cubic units of measurement, so that is cubic centimeters instead of centimeters, cubic millimeters, cubic meters, and cubic kilometers. So to convert from cubic centimeters to cubic millimeters, you multiply by 1 and 3 zeros, which is 1,000. And to convert from cubic kilometers all the way to cubic millimeters, you will multiply by 1 and 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 total zeros. 1 and 18 total number of zeros. And to go back from a smaller unit of measurement to a bigger unit of measurement, you divide by the same factor you multiply by. So to convert from cubic millimeters all the way to cubic kilometers, you would divide that number by 1 and 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 total number of zeros. So you're dividing by 1 and 18 total zeros. That is how you basically convert from one unit of measurement to another, depending on the number of dimensions you are working with. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one. Bye.